Unique among the metals on Earth, gold is a yellow metal that neither rusts nor corrodes. It has been used in monetary, ceremonial, artistic, dental, and funeral objects for thousands of years by cultures all over the world. One of the softest of metals, it can be drawn into fine, highly conductive wires for electrical uses, or hammered into thin sheets of foil for diverse purposes, such as the gilding of the Wyoming State Capitol. The story of this treasured metal and its discovery at South Pass is intertwined with the geology of the Rocky Mountains.
Wyoming has some of the oldest rocks in the world, and certainly some of the oldest rocks in North America, including some of those we find at South Pass. The rocks at South Pass are unusual because they're a fairly late addition to the state of Wyoming. Most of the oldest rocks in Wyoming are found in the Wind River Mountains, the Bighorn Mountains, up in the Beartooth Mountains. The rocks at South Pass formed about 2.65 billion years ago.
Geologists agree that the rocks containing Wyoming's gold are quite old. However, the gold within these rocks was moved into place at a later date, when superheated liquids carried it upward under great pressure.
The fluids in the earth are slightly different in composition. Sometimes they're a little bit acidic, and this helps dissolve more elements, including gold. Acidic fluids are the best at carrying metals. And when they get closer to the surface, then the gold can be deposited.
While the South Pass geology was favorable for the placement of gold deposits, the profitability of mining depends on the concentration of gold.
And it appears in South Pass that the mechanisms of concentrating gold just really weren't very effective. We have gold in two main forms. It's found in shear zones. These are faults, broken up pieces of the South Pass rocks where the fluids have moved through, leaving the gold behind. The other ways of concentrating gold are to erode the rocks that contain the gold. And since gold is heavy, it tends to fall out in the sedimentation process.
In the Rocky Mountain West, steep mountains, seasonal temperature extremes, and heavy spring runoff of snowmelt combine to break down gold-bearing rocks. This concentrates the freed gold particles into placer deposits, usually in low-lying areas such as stream beds, a process aided by gold's heavy weight.
Freezing and thawing of the soils cause very slow and very gradual descent of gold down to the lowest point that it can reach. So it might start on the top of the gravels and sands and might get churned up through natural weathering and erosion processes, but gradually it will work lower and lower through that bedrock.
Military scouts, explorers, and prospectors learn to search likely areas of watercourses for the telltale color of gold. These locations were then mined using tools and skills largely unchanged for thousands of years.
The first kind of mining that took place here was simple mining on the surface. Simple tools, simple technologies, lightweight, easy to transport, very easy to learn how to do. You don't need to be a physicist or a scientist to learn how to work a gold pan.
Once the presence of gold was established in local creeks, miners looked for the original rock outcrops from which the gold had been eroded. Such ore outcroppings, or lodes, were excavated with more complex and dangerous underground mining techniques. Underground or hard rock miners quickly abandoned their workings when the area's erratic gold deposits proved too difficult for their efforts.
Sometimes you'll run into 3 or 4 different strands of vein because the entire structure has been folded over. So when you drill at it from the side, you'll run into one vein, and sometimes you'll run into the other leg of that folded vein. It's very difficult to develop tons of ore that will eventually accumulate into what justifies a mining operation.
Recreational placer mining activities, like gold panning, still captivate local residents and visitors alike with the possibility of striking it rich. While the passage of time permits the development of new gold extraction sciences, it has increased dangerous conditions among abandoned buildings and century-old shafts and mine tunnels. Today, the hard rock mines invite intermittent exploration and examination by a new generation of geologists with the latest technologies. Much of the formerly productive placer ground in the area is privately owned, and the public domain areas continue to be staked for gold claims.